For anyone who wants an ultra quick 51-second version of this that has less information, if you don't have time to listen to this, go ahead and look down in the description. There's a time code that'll jump you right to it. Hello and welcome everyone, Tyrell here, and this is a quick guide, just with the background of a kill from start to finish of Oregorger on all difficulties. This is recorded on Mythic, but I'm going to be going over all difficulties. Now, there's no reason for you not to use Bloodlust, Time Warp, Heroism, whatever you're using right off the bat. There's no special burst times, none of that stuff. Just use Lust right off the beginning, and you're actually going to get the most out of your DPS. Everyone's going to be alive, everyone's going to be pre-potted, everyone's going to have all their cooldowns up. So that is the perfect time for you to use Bloodlust, Heroism, Time Warp, etc. I'm going to start with his most important ability, which is Blackrock Barrage. A lot of people will disagree with that, but it is the most important ability. You've seen it go off once, it should never be seen. What it is he will spin around and throw a bunch of spines, dealing, I don't know, depends on the difficulty, 50 to 100,000 damage to everyone in the raid. Not that big of a deal. It's not the damage that's the problem, it's the fact that he uses energy. Now, you need to have an interrupt rotation, and on Mythic, there's 5 interrupts, and on any other difficulty, there's 3. He'll have stacks, and you'll see him go down as he uses the ability. You want to interrupt every single one, and it will get faster every time he tries to cast it. So it'll get harder and harder to interrupt him the more that you interrupt him. Why does it matter that he's using energy? It matters because he does not have an enrage timer. What he has instead is, I don't want to call it an enrage timer. Basically, he does enrage, but it is after he's used 3 full bars of his energy. So the more you interrupt, the more time you have to damage him, to the point where every single interrupt is worth a good few million damage. So think of it this way: if you're an interrupt class, use your interrupt. You may as well be seeing, 2 million damage pop up on your screen, because that's what you're doing for the raid. The next ability that you have to worry about is Wretched Blackrock. Only the ranged and the healers have to deal with it. He'll pick a random target, and he will pretty much puke up some ore at you, and you have to move out of it. Fun little fact, DBM or Bigwigs, whichever you're using, will have an option to /say above your head that you've been hit by it. As soon as you've seen that, as soon as that pops up, before it's even on its way to you, you can move. It's targeted at the ground, and if you move fast enough, you will actually not be hit by it. Even if it's targeted on you, you will not take any damage from it. Now, the next ability that he's going to be using is Acid Torrent. This is targeted at the closest target in front of him, and it deals damage in a cone in front of him to everyone at a range. And the damage they take is massive, and it is reduced based on the first target's damage reduction. So you want your tanks to be taking that, and they need to have preferably over 50% damage reduction. On Mythic, you definitely need something like 70% or more, or your raid is just going to get slammed by the damage. This also acts as the tank swapping mechanism, because every time he uses it on them, the person who gets hit will get a debuff causing them to take double damage from the next one, which will just flat out one-shot just about anyone. So you need to swap your tanks every time that he does an Acid Torrent. Now, normally I would say to use your cooldowns to take less damage as well if you're just a DPS or a healer, but actually what you want to do is probably save those for the rolling phases. One last ability to discuss before talking about the rolling phase is to talk about Explosive Shard. Explosive Shard is targeted on a random melee, and it deals a fair amount of damage on hit and plants itself in the ground. And once it's in the ground for several seconds, it will explode, stunning everyone and dealing a fairly large amount of damage. On Mythic, that is kill damage. So what you want to do is, most people would say stack up and move leg to leg, but that's not what you want to do. What you want to do is you want to spread your melee out so less of them get hit by the initial attack, and then have everyone move away from it. Even if it lands directly center in the middle of the melee, you can still dodge it by moving left or right all the way. You'll still be able to get out of the way. So now that I'm done with all of those abilities, the final thing to talk about is the rolling phase. As you can see, there's a little trick, by the way, on the Blackrock. You notice that we kept it all to one side. This allows us to walk through without taking any damage during the rolling phase. If you're tanking him on the inside, you may want to do that. You may want to have it so that your Blackrock is just on one side and curled around. But now to talk about the rolling phase. Now, if you're on normal or heroic, you won't see any of this fire, which does eventually kill me in this recording. I haven't re-recorded any other kills. This is my first kill recorded, so I did end up dying during this. But it leads me to a good point. A roll phase starts whenever he reaches 0 energy. During the rolling phase, he will prefer to go down a hallway that has Blackrock in it. The Blackrock comes from crates that you break. If it has Blackrock in it, do not stand in that hallway. He is eventually going to roll down it. Now, on normal and heroic, he's just going to be rolling around. If you get hit by him, you're going to take a large amount of damage. Pretty much kill damage on heroic unless you have a cooldown up. And really, you just don't want to be hit. Everyone's going to be mad at you if you get hit. So, don't get hit by him. And every time he hits a wall, he is going to deal damage to everyone in the raid. And every time he rolls, that damage is increased. Now, it's good to talk about this now because on Mythic, he spawns those little egg-like things underneath them. What they are balls of unstable slag. And what those do is, if he hits that spot again, he drops it every time he hits a wall. If he hits that spot again, everyone has to get out of the way because it will shoot lines of fire down every adjacent side. And you can actually jump straight over them. When you get a big chain reaction like that, you don't want to panic and do what I did. I ran backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. What you want to do is just find one line, not a double line because you can get those. Just find one line, jump over it, you're safe. Don't run away from it, just jump it. It'll deal 70 to 120,000 damage. It's on Mythic only. It's designed to make you want to drag him in a specific direction so he doesn't hit the same wall twice. But then on your second rolling phase, all that's going to happen is you're just going to get a huge chain reaction right off the bat. So really, you want him actually breaking his slags, but you want it to happen just periodically breaking 1 or 2 at a time. You don't want this huge chain reaction. Now, lastly, I just want to go over the tactics for positioning during the rolling phases. During the rolling phases, you want to either do one of 2 things. You want to have 4 healers, maybe 5 if you're running with 5 healers. I don't know, maybe if you have 30 people, you're going to need 6. But what you want to do is you want to assign them to an inside corner. You notice how the corners are marked. Each healer is also marked. They are assigned to that corner. And that way, the raid can just free flow around. You can assign different groups to different areas. Or you can use the Oregorger dance. It's a little bit tricky to explain, so I'm going to have to pull up an image. I swear this is the best one I could get. So, to do this properly, you want to start over here. You don't have to, but it is the best way to do it. It is the easiest way and safest way. But then again, if you're just coming out of a rolling phase going into your second standing phase, it might be a little bit difficult to get in position back there. You can do it from elsewhere, it's just a little more difficult and takes a little more time. So what you want to do is you want to start there and zigzag your way up, dropping the wretched Blackrock as you move up. Now, once the standing phase ends, you should be at the end of your corridor, at which point you go down here. After he rolls, you have to wait for him to roll. Now, if he rolls around the outside, you either quickly run across, or you wait for him to hit and then get by him once he rolls again. What you want to do first, while this is all going on, is you want to destroy this crate. You want to destroy that crate, and then the entire group stays together. Fox, Stampeding Roar, whatever you have to do. Get everyone through without getting hit. Destroy these boxes as you pass through. Now, you can stop up at this corner, but if you do, everyone has to spread out, healers have to spread out as well, and they have to clean up the other half of the boxes that you haven't hit already. Now, that is the short Oregorger dance. If you want to do the long one, which gets every box, you then go up here. Now, if you are moving quickly, he will probably be hitting the wall next to you. You will have to wait for him to roll. As soon as he rolls, you keep moving. What you can do now, it's the best thing to do, is have your hunters and your mages split off and go here, because with deterrence and ice block, they can save themselves if he rolls over them. So they don't have to worry. As long as they're quick on the button, they can save themselves. They don't need the healers. And then the rest of the group, everybody else, without stopping, they continue moving, destroying every box as they pass, covering it in dots and hitting it with every instant cast, every melee hit they can get on it as they move. Once you move through there, you get up to this corner, make sure he's not about to roll on you from any direction. Then you move either left, if it's not safe to stand in the right, if he's going to roll right where you are now, or if it is completely safe, you can move to the right, destroy the boxes, and then get out of there, and then you just hang out in the middle towards this side, and just dodge him as he comes by, and eventually he will hit 100 ore. Probably once you destroy all the boxes, he'll be around 60 or 70. If you are incredibly quick, he might be as low as 50, and that way, he will follow you pretty much the entire time. He will either be following you perfectly, hitting all new walls, or he will be just going in circles for a little while over all the way away from you, giving you free range to move around completely. Either way, it's a win-win. But it's easier to organize the 4 healers, 4 corners strategy. So just use whichever one you want, because they both work. Zigzag the Wretched Blackrock. Use tank cooldowns and healer cooldowns to mitigate the damage from Acid Torrent by preferably at least 70%. Dodge explosive shards. For the love of all that is holy, do not let a single Blackrock barrage go off. Interrupt it. Have an interrupt order and use it. His enrage timer hits when he has used 300 energy. Always lust at the start. Don't get hit by the rolls. Always have healers in range of everyone during the roll phase. Use either the Oregorger dance or 4 healer 4 corner method, which doesn't necessarily mean you have to have 4 healers. On Mythic, jump over the fire waves that come out of the unstable slags. Do not panic, it will get you killed. Case in point. It is very simple to DPS him wherever he lands next after the rolling phase, or you can bring him back to the beginning. Rinse, repeat, that is Oregorger. Goodbye.